my favorite argument is like, but aren't we all just Filipinos? Sorry, Mark, what were you gonna say?
I mean, no, no, I was kind of laughing about it because it's true. That's the common. I don't know. It's argument, but also misunderstanding. Because when and it's like the nationalistic point of view that like even some people would rather take, especially in terms of politics back in the Philippines. There's a whole nationalist
Mm,
kind of view where it's like, these individual groups don't matter. And some of the people, like some politicians, are really trying to push the whole national identity versus like indigenous group here, indigenous group there. And there's some people who say, oh, the reason they don't want to do that is because they don't want to support indigenous groups. Why should they be so special compared to everybody else? You know what I'm
mhm,
saying? But
yeah.
when it comes to like, of course, we go to land issues. We go to like kind of like proper respect to uh the people who are on that land, and also like their history and the overall history of the Philippines and what the struggles that people have gone through, you know, that's where I think that whole national identity thing has to be kind of like, it isn't so black and white basically.
Mm,
And it's and for folks who are growing up abroad, it's easy to take that whole thing's, oh, we're just all Filipino, we're just all Filipino. But for people who are taking that stance and they because they've grown up abroad, I think it would be wise, or I would encourage them to take the stance of trying to learn a little bit more about maybe where they're from, where their family is, and to learn the small little nuances that make them special. You know,
mhm,
it's like for example, they always talk about kapangpangan food, and those people in the area always cook really good, right? That's a cultural thing that those
true.
people have, and it's true because my uncle married one, and their family, they cook some awesome and amazing food, and it's there all those little nuances that everybody's got, like in their culture, from their area. I think that's the kind of thing that people need to latch onto and learn about. So I would
Yeah.
deeply encourage that. And then when you start to realize those kind of things, you start to realize, oh, I have this special thing that's part of my area. And I think then they'll start to realize like we're not just pan Filipino, you know? It's this diversity that makes us fucking awesome. It's not just because we're just all Filipino. No, what makes Filipinos awesome is the diversity and the fact that we kind of somehow made this all work. You know what I'm saying? And despite the things that make us a little bit different.
Mhm.
So we got that history, for example, with the Ilocanos and the and Igorots. We have a long history of trade with these guys, even before the Spaniards came.
Mhm.
And so, like, I think when you recognize those kind of things in terms of the history and what's special in your culture, that you can really learn to appreciate that there are so many flavors that make us. If you want to talk about pan Filipino, that makes just being Filipino awesome. But what we're asking here is that you recognize our flavor. You know what I'm saying? And when you want to put our flavor on, you tell people where you got it from, right? I'm not gonna go around and be like, let me think of something like, uh,
Yeah, that's a
let's
really
say
good
this
point.
caldereta, right? If I cook, yeah, if I cook this caldereta, that's like my auntie's recipe, and she's kapangpangan. I'm not gonna go say this is an Igorot recipe. I'm gonna say that's from my auntie, and that's her flavor, man. I learned it from her, and I just want to I want to ingest it a little bit. It's Filipino, but I recognize that's her recipe, man. That's her thing, and I am honoring that. And so when I cook it, I'm honoring her. I'm not saying that's me. Oh man, that's my auntie or that's my grandma or something like that, or whatever. And it's I think in some ways, kind of like in terms of our representation, I think if you have that kind of mindset, then it'll help you understand the richness of who we are as a people.
Mhm. Yeah.
Then when you say I'm pan Filipino, it's a whole different flavor. It's a whole different sauce, man. It's a whole different way of thinking. Instead of just like this, this kind of like covering that just says Filipino, you know. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead, Gerald.
No. I love the way you explained that.
Yeah.
That's actually perfect. Because I mean, I think a lot of people are trying to find their identity, and fair enough. Like, I guess that's a good place to start, perhaps. But you're right. Like trying to figure out, trying to dig a little bit deeper and figure out, a little bit more specifics of where you're from, not just being Filipino. I mean, like some people get hung up on the fact that we were, what was the expression of us being tattooed?
Well, pintados.
Yeah, we're just the painted people, right?
Yeah.
And everybody that
Oh,
always
right,
comes
right.
up. But then when people say that and then flash like an image on the screen, but it's like those images of people in not Igorot, but somewhere lowland or wherever, where essentially
In
it's
the
a little bit
South,
harder. A lot of
like
that culture has been
Mindanao.
lost. Yeah, a lot of that has been lost. A little bit harder to find that information. But
Yeah.
just because we were the island of the painted people doesn't mean that's the same as the stuff that our ancestors wore. Like, but yeah, I mean, just digging a little bit deeper. I think
Yeah.
that's a good way to put it. It's just
The
yeah,
Boxer
and the
Codex.
food.
When was that made? Like, right? The Boxer Codex. What you're basically like referring to? That was in like the 1500s,
Oh yeah, the Boxer
right?
Codex.
That's
Yeah.
the one that they're always like sharing, which
Always,
is
yes.
great. Like that's a great aspect of Philippine history. But that was 5 centuries ago. That was
Yeah,
before it was even formally
Yeah.
a Spanish colony. So
yeah,
you're saying, Jared?
yeah. So I mean, people just get stuck on certain things, and then are good enough with that. But really, you should try and just find your flavor and dig a little deeper. Maybe you'll find that kare kare recipe that you've always wanted.
Yeah,
Anyway, we
Especially the
stopped.
one from your own family. There's always gonna be
Yeah,
something, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. We kind of stopped watching
back to,
this
get back to the video.
this video.
Oh
Maybe
man,
we
yeah.
should go back
We
into
have to
it.
edit this somehow. So
I mean, that's fine. We
okay,
went
let's
on
see this. Sorry, guys.
we went on a bit of a tangent because I mean, I think that's what we just need to incorporate more. Is just I mean, we do it anyway, but we just need to talk about things that are affecting us in the diaspora. So, but not just us, but all of you as well in the diaspora. So just like we said earlier, any comments under about your experiences or maybe things related to whatever we're talking, I mean, it would be really helpful to have that
Yeah.
discourse in the comments, or even just like messaging us or whatever it is, whatever mode. Yeah, just because we have our experiences, but we would love to see everybody else's. Ours are a bit focused on what Western Canada, Western America, UK,
London.
London. So, and there's Igor people everywhere, and you find that out when you attend things like IICs where people come from everywhere, and just like it's unreal. I didn't even know like there was such a big group of or such an active group of Igorots in like places like Vienna and just
Yeah.
random places. So yeah,
Yeah.